Hi friends, it's Jessie with Elysian Homestead, and today we are going to make my ultimate childhood comfort food, Spanish rice, my grandma's way. So I already started, and I have a pound of venison that I have browned. So when you're doing your browning on your ground meat, let it cook all the way through, and then let it keep going until you actually get browning on it, and not just cooked. It makes a difference in the flavor. So we have that all ready to go. And then here I have it's 3 little onions, but about 1 big onion, 1 or 2 bell peppers. I don't know, these are peppers that from the garden that I just dice up and freeze in gallon bags and pull out. So maybe that's 1, maybe that's 2. I'm not sure. However much your heart desires. And then 2 cloves of garlic, finely minced. And we're going to put all that in and just let it cook down for a minute. I think I just made a giant mess. I did. Okay. Stir it up and cook it in. I just have this on like medium low. I'm just going to let it cook for a couple minutes to get these peppers and onions start cooking. They're going to be cooking with broth and rice and everything, so they will have longer to get done. So I don't need them done. I just want them to start and kind of flavor that meat. Now that the onions are starting to release their juices and the peppers are thawed, we are going to add our seasonings. So beef bouillon powder, whatever kind you like, doesn't matter. It's about 2 tablespoons. Then I'm going to do cumin. Maybe about that much. Some salt. You don't want too much because there is salt in the bouillon powder. Pepper, but mine never wants to come out of here, so. Okay, garlic powder. Whatever your heart desires. There are no real measurements. And onion powder. There we go. This is kind of what it looks like after those seasonings. We'll just stir all that up, get it incorporated. Okay, now the rice. I'm gonna do 3 cups of rice. This is just regular old rice. 1, 2, 3. Mix that in. Then we're going to add the rest. So, do this first. I have the rotel. Just dump that right in there. I have a pint of tomato sauce, just plain tomato. So just plain tomato sauce. I have a quart of tomato juice. And then, oh, and I also have tomato paste. I'm going to add about half of this. Stir it up. I spent a lot of my childhood with my grandma, hanging out with her, garage sailing, cleaning, just being around her house. She babysat me when my mom worked. Even when my mom got sick and wasn't working, I would just be at her house. We lived right next door. Like, my grandparents were divorced and my grandpa had a cabin on the hill and my grandma had the old farmhouse at the bottom of the hill. And we mostly lived with my grandpa in the cabin because I had more room. But it was right next door. Like, I spent my entire childhood right next door and living with my grandparents. And it was probably one of the things I'm most thankful for is all the time I got to spend and all the things I got to learn. But my grandma made this Spanish rice so much, probably because she was feeding a bunch of us. She had her own kids. I am only, I think, 7 years younger than my youngest uncle. So she had him, she had his friends, she had me, she had my friends, she had my cousin Jimmy who lived right down the road from us. And so she was feeding us all, and she needed to make it stretch because she didn't have a lot of money. And I think this was like the perfect recipe. And every time I eat it, I think about her, and I just reminisce over some of the most amazing parts of my childhood. So let's get back to this. Okay, so after we mix everything in, we're just going to let it come up to a boil real fast. So I had to turn the heat up. And once it just ever so slightly starts boiling, we will turn the heat down. After you get everything mixed in, we're going to let this turn the heat up. No, gosh, why am I so dumb? Once we get everything mixed in, we are going to, okay, so you turn the heat up and you let it come to a boil. Mine is starting to bubble right now. As soon as that happens, we put our spoon down, put a lid on, and we turn it down to low. We set a timer for 20 minutes. We do not touch it. We don't do anything. We just leave it for 20 minutes. Okay, so it's actually been a little bit more than 20 minutes because I looked at it and it was like no liquid. So I just added another pint of liquid to it and let it go for like another 5-10 minutes. And here we are. Spanish rice, my grandma style. Looks so good. It is a little soupy now, so it'll soak in because I'm going to let this set for about 10 minutes before my family tries it. So with that, it'll soak right in. Okay, it's sat for a few, so we're just going to serve it up and give it a little taste. It tastes like my grandma made it. Childhood memories in a bowl. Thank you for joining me.